Hello there everyone, Lars here, with a follow-up to our shipping rant from earlier this month, but this time I am talking about why I ship the Deltarune characters Kris and Susie. Now, why on a YouTube channel by novice writers, for novice writers, would I get mired in the discussions of shipping? What can this possibly have to do with writing? Well, first of all, it is Valentine's Day, and let's enjoy a little potential romance. But also because creators have to accept that not only will fans ship what they'll ship, but even they, the creators, are not immune to the effects of shipping. Shipping is not inherently bad in and of itself, but it can lead to lazy writing in a story. Especially if all that you're really used to when it comes to romance is how you have shipped other characters. Shipping seeks to smash two characters together and make them a couple. Instead, creators should set up a narrative scaffolding, and rather than ship their couples, sculpt them bit by bit. Take their time to create this relationship and to explore who these characters are and really bring them together in a way that is cohesive and beautiful rather than just simply a mashup of "this would be so amazing to see." And I will endeavor to show that there is a potential scaffolding for the ship known to the Deltarune community as the TFS Krusie. So, what does a channel by novice writers for novice writers have to say about Krusie? If I'm being honest and upfront, this ship is all speculation and beautiful fan art. However, it is speculation and beautiful fan art based in the game's story and themes. And this is where creating a romantic couple is actually some of the most fun. Rather than just romance for romance sake, making the romance something that is meaningful to the larger themes of the story. Now, that is not to say that the other ships within Deltarune need to be sunk, because as Toby Fox himself said, he's looking forward to us becoming friends with everyone in his game. This is a game about friendship, overcoming obstacles, and facing something very, very dark. But that is actually why I love this ship so much, because it is all about the budding friendship and relationship that Susie and Kris share. And analyzing this relationship can help others write their own. Kris and Susie's future relationship could honestly become one of the most charming video game relationships that I have seen to date. And why would I have the audacity to make such a bold claim? It is because we get to see two very misunderstood and broken characters build each other up and become better. Two fated heroes working across two worlds to help bring everyone together and save everything from what sounds to be an inevitable doom. Angel's Heaven. It has all the trappings of an epic romance at work. Kids from a small town, bound together by destiny, their fall, their redemption, an unlikely friendship, and a growing, deeper relationship under the surface. But hey, you know what? I am getting kinda ahead of myself. So, in order to illustrate this properly, let's look at how Deltarune develops these two characters. The beginning of the game introduces us to a terrifying encounter between Kris and Susie as they have to go and retrieve chalk for Alfie's. That confrontation leaves Kris to mutely follow Susie after being threatened to have their face bitten off to the supply room where they find themselves sucked into the world of the Darknose. It's clear that Kris has experience with this particular place, and there's a lot of speculation surrounding their past and what adventures Kris might have had with their older brother Azrael. Susie is, however, not a stand-in for Azrael. That is Ralsei's possession in this story. Instead, Susie is going to become Kris's close friend since Azrael has left for college and kind of fill in that role of friend where Ralsei comes in and fills in that role of brother. And we see as the story progresses that Kris and Ralsei put up with Susie's earlier antics when they work together to break out of King's prison. Kris teaches Susie how to act, and when they both step in to protect each other at the end of the battle with King towards the end of the game. Susie calling Kris her friend is so cathartic on multiple levels and amazing at such a climactic moment. And when they wake up again in the world of their fellow Lightners, Susie is, for once, excited for another adventure, and she asks Kris to return the following day. Thus their friendship is sealed. And to return for a brief moment to the subject of acting, it's telling that Susie needs to be on board before you get the chance to meet Jevil. Susie needs to learn how to act. Otherwise, you are missing a lot of necessary teamwork for the battle that is up ahead. Without Susie, Kris would never stand a chance against such chaos. Their friendship and unity shows itself in that fight. And when you, like me, spend 10 plus hours and your entire sanity, what you have left of it, trying to take Jevil down, you can't help but cheer for their teamwork and all three characters and how they support each other and how you need to use all three of them in order to defeat Jevil. It is a fight that makes the battle with King and its conclusion then feel so much more earned and meaningful. You don't survive Jevil and not have a special connection with the people who supported you. In fact, I would argue to say that the fight with Jevil is really, if you take that route, is really what shows you that Susie and Kris now have quite a trusting bond, and that's what really helps Susie to come and defend Kris right at the very end. So there's a clear picture of their friendship. But the question is, what about their potential romance? For me, the romance, or the potential romance, between Kris and Susie begins with the ending to the battle with King, right when we see Susie stepping in to save Kris. She told them at the beginning of their journey that quiet people piss her off. But then when we hear King say the same thing, we kind of get this feeling like, okay, this is kind of hearkening back to the whole dark encounter at the beginning of the game. But now Susie, the school bully, steps in. She has learned that Kris has their own way of communicating, and now not only accepts that, but goes on to defend Kris. It is a significant swing because it is so opposite to how she acted at the beginning of the adventure. And this is quickly followed up once they leave the storage room after having defeated King and saving the kingdom, with the genuinely soft and heartfelt look that she gives Kris as she asks if they can return together the following day. It hints that their new friendship could easily and even quickly become something else, become something more. The look that she's giving is obviously not Miles Morales going, hey, but it's also not the same kind of look that you give to someone who's just like, that was awesome, let's do it again tomorrow. But it's something that shows, this communication that they have is something that shows that there is now a genuine connection between the two of them, and where that genuine connection exists, there exists the potential for something more. Now then, Kris then begins their exploration of the town, and as you through Kris begins to talk with everyone, you find out that they are all surprised that Kris has survived being with Susie for the whole day. All of the different classmates are just like, wow, I cannot believe that you are somehow alive. You were gone all class long. We were getting ready to sing your eulogy and bury you, or what remained of you. Even Noelle, who had definitely a major crush on Susie, is amazed that you have somehow walked away unscathed, or at least in this case that Kris has somehow walked away unscathed. And then even you as the player are granted an opportunity to kind of brush off Noelle's interest. In a game where choices aren't supposed to matter, it's an odd thing to throw this in. And as a shameless plugin, if you're interested in my personal theory on choice and determination within the game Deltarune, please go check out the link to our Deltarune video down in the description. But the biggest clue within the first chapter is Birdly heckling Kris about having a book on drawing dragons for so long and saying, you might as well be in indentured servitude, my man. It's a funny gag that could just be there to hint at Kris's own creativity, which we definitely saw when Kris goes into the dark world. However, it could be a subtle hint at Kris wanting to befriend Susie, and having wanted to befriend Susie for a very long time. And it's clear already from the dialogue that Kris and Susie have at the beginning of the game that they've known each other for quite some time, and that there is some kind of shared past, but only today has their friendship officially begun. And also, with Toriel throwing away Asgore's flowers, let's just say that there is someone now in the house who could use them. But honestly, really thinking about the library book with the drawing of dragons and everything, it is kind of a funny, if not meaningful, coincidence that dragons are very similar to the lizard/dragon beast that Susie herself is. Now, this all being said, I have to concede that this is only the first chapter in the game. There are 6 more to come and a whole lot yet to unpack. And Toby is already heavily hinting at Noelle and Susie possibly becoming an item. But in the interest of being honest, there is a lot of in-canon potential for letting Krusie set sail. First of all, now that Kris and Susie are friends, there have to be ways to continue progressing their relationship. If they just end right here at chapter 1 being friends and now they're just going to be buds going through the next 6 chapters, it makes the relationship stagnant and it loses its meaning as you go along. The relationship needs to continue to progress. Now, that doesn't always have to mean that it ends romantically, but by nudging them in the direction of romance, it increases the chances for misunderstandings, reconcilings, and getting stronger by coming back together. The two of them supporting each other in both the light world and the dark world in various events and adventures opens up all kinds of opportunities. And we have to think about how they have a class project, that there's a dance coming up, that Susie is planning on helping Lancer, and of course, we still have to close the remaining dark fountains. And so, really, there's a lot of things that these two characters have to do, and we need to see that their relationship continues to progress. And by possibly making them a romantic item, there is the chance to really explore different levels of their interactions, which would be something phenomenal to see in a game like Deltarune. And the two of them coming together can also be a powerful example to the other kids within their class that they can all set aside their differences and become friends. Another reason for this pairing to be good for the story is to give greater autonomy to Kris. Most of the community already agrees that Kris is controlled by the player and that they, meaning Kris, dislikes this particular relationship. So to give Kris the chance to be romantic would mean to give them the freedom that they desire. Also, a relationship between a human and a monster would be very meaningful in a small town full of monsters. And from Susie's end, she craves positive attention. Kris, Ralsei, and Lancer are the first to give that to her, and Kris will be her constant companion in her life moving forward as we go through the game. So being able to be in both worlds with this one character who now means so much to her, it stands to good reason that her feelings for Kris could grow, and that would be amazing to see teased out. And I will also be the bold one to say that it would be a neat reversal from what we got in Undertale. Alphys and Undyne getting together is essential for Undertale's true pacifist ending. And so we've seen all of this before, and Toby wants to give us something new. So it would certainly subvert our expectations, as terrible as it says to say subvert expectations because of Ryan Johnson out there, but still subverting expectations through setting up what we think we know is going to happen, but then giving us something different would actually have quite some interesting payoff, especially if, once again, this allows for greater development for both Kris and Susie and explores possibly giving Kris greater autonomy by exploring that relationship. So all of it could come together in a really neat and meaningful way. But then there is also my personal theory for Deltarune, and I'll give you the short of it. Once again, if you want to check out my full theory about what's actually happening in the game Deltarune, and especially what could be at the end of the journey for Kris and Susie, please make sure that you check out that video through the link. But the short of it is that what is happening in the Dark World is yet another determination experiment from Gaster, trying to rule the fate of a world where your choices shouldn't matter. And so, in an epic climax, Kris will have to face off against Azrael. But it will be Susie who once again steps in and this time truly saves the day. It will be her relationship with Kris that enables and inspires her to do this. And while Toby likes teasing different anime tropes, he also enjoys superseding them. And what better to eclipse the cliche trope of friendship than to take it to the next level, which is then romance. And come on, I just want to see a healthy relationship come out of two misunderstood characters. Is that too much to ask for? Maybe. We'll see. Simply put, there's a lot of character and narrative potential in playing out this ship, and I am all for that. We'll just have to wait for Toby to finally deliver with the rest of the game sometime in the hazy future. In the meantime, however, tell us what you think about the ship Krusie, and anything else that you want to see from the upcoming chapters of Deltarune. Honestly, it's a great game if you haven't already checked it out. Download it, play it, enjoy it, spend 10 plus hours trying to beat Jevil. It is so totally worth it. And if you want to see not just one, but both of my writer's analyses and theories for Deltarune and also Undertale, once again, please make sure that you check out the links in the description. And we also have more episodes of writing goodness over at our podcast, and you can reach out to us via our subreddit and get some great writing exercises at our Pinterest page. All of this is there to help you guys better your skills when it comes to writing, and honestly, the world needs whatever stories that you want to tell. And we here at Camille's Harem are there to try to inspire you, encourage you, and give you advice so that way you can become the writer that you want to be and share your stories with a world that honestly needs them. But that will do it for now. So until the next video, y'all, keep on shipping Krusie and tschüss.